You remember speaking to Kel, period, at Cascade Skating Rink?
We ain't no speak. We wasn't on speaking term.
After seeing the damage and the blood, I went inside to the hospital where I met with medical staff who pointed me in the right direction to find the victim.
I mean, I had to go there. I got a call from the rent office saying that my house got shot up.
I did.
Who was it?
Kelvin Watts.
Without telling me what he said, did you speak with Mr. Iceheart? Did Mr. Watts tell you what happened?
Yes, sir.
In 2015, Atlanta, Georgia had a notable gang presence, with police tracking around 192 gangs, which was more than double the numbers of gangs identified 6 years earlier. Gang violence was a major problem in the city, along with other gang-related crimes such as drug dealing, carjacking, identity theft, credit card fraud, and murder. The following year, murders in the city of Atlanta were up nearly 20%. In one area of town in the South Side neighborhoods that make up Zone 3, violent crimes were through the roof. Zone 3 comprised of 1/3 of the 99 killings that had already taken place earlier that year. Which brings us to our story.
And 11 murders in the city of Atlanta over the course of just 12 days.
Atlanta's police chief tells city leaders that he's troubled by an increase in the murders and other violent crimes so far in 2016. Fox 5's Morris Diggs was the only reporter who attended today's briefing about the recent increase in crime. And Morris, what are the next steps to help combat this problem?
Well, they're briefing right now with the city council and trying to describe some strategies that they have. I will tell you, from police command to upstairs in City Hall, inside the mayor's office, there is a great concern about rising violent crime. At the top of the list, murders. We've got some video to show you of one neighborhood hit hard, the South Side. Many areas appear like this. They are very nice. This is Police Zone 3. But the officers here are having a difficult time patrolling. Now, here are some of the latest statistics just compiled yesterday. 2016 citywide, 99 murders. Zone 3, 1/3 of those, 33 murders. A year comparison now. 2016, 99 murders again for the entire year, compared to 2015, 83. That's an increase of 19%. I had a chance to speak to one chairman of a South Side neighborhood. Your neighbors, when they see this tonight, what are they going to be thinking about?
They'll be shocked. Looking at those statistics, Mars, and I'm a little surprised because I can't for the life of me think of any rationale or why this particular zone would be the highest in the city.
Now, the chief has just completed a briefing, and we're going to have a full report coming up at 6. He's going to detail to the council members what he thinks he may be able to do. He says we need intervention because so many of these crimes are being committed by 15, 16, and 17-year-olds. Right now, the juvenile court system, they're not really handling these folks when they commit a lesser crime and then graduate on to an aggravated assault or a killing. And he's describing some things to council that he plans to do to try and get the community involved. He says if you don't stop the juvenile when he's doing a car break-in, ultimately that may lead to murder. Reporting live in Atlanta City Hall in downtown, I'm Morris Diggs, Fox 5 News.
In 2015, 26-year-old Donovan Thomas Jr., a.k.a. Nut, was shot and killed outside of an Atlanta barbershop.
And now to a developing story this morning. The search is on for the person who shot 3 people, including a 14-year-old. One man died. Channel 2 Steve Gelbach is live at Grady Memorial Hospital. Steve, investigators say they don't have a motive, but they don't believe this shooting was random.
I did hear back from Atlanta police in the last half hour by email. Said there's really not an update on this case yet, but they do confirm it is a homicide investigation. All 3 victims, including a 14-year-old, were brought here to Grady Memorial Hospital, and 26-year-old Donovan Thomas was in the most serious condition, and the medical examiner's office confirmed he did not survive. Neighbors in Atlanta's Castleberry Hill neighborhood heard the gunfire around 7:30 Saturday night.
Heard something like a semi-automatic.
Sugar Thomas was in her house. Her uncle sometimes hangs out on McDaniel Street.
So I came out there running to make sure that he wasn't out there.
She saw 3 young men on the ground. Atlanta police say a teenager and a man in his 20s were both shot in the leg. The third, 26-year-old Donovan Thomas, was critical.
Had a significant injury. We had at least multiple gunshots in the upper torso area. He was rushed to surgery.
Thomas died at the hospital. Homicide detectives looked for bullet holes and brought in a police canine to search for more shell casings. They believe it was a drive-by shooting.
That's a word that we're getting. We're trying to see if we can get any type of video to verify that.
The victims were outside a barber shop, but police don't think they're connected to the business. And although they're working to find out the motive, detectives say they appeared to be the intended targets.
Praying for the people that got shot. That's all we can do right now because we don't know what happened.
Police have not released a description yet of a possible suspect or a car that may have been seen in. We do know the detectives have talked to both surviving victims, though, here at the hospital to try to get some of that information. Live in downtown Atlanta, Steve Gelbach, Channel 2 Action News.
At least 4 alleged members of YSL were charged with Nutt's murder: DeMonte Kendrick, Shannon Stillwell, as well as Javarius Bradford and Demise McMillan, whom all faced trial during Young Thug's RICO case. Law enforcement told the New York Times that Nutt was a high-ranking member of a blood subset known as the Inglewood family, and his murder was a shot called by a high-ranking member of Sex Money Murder. During Young Thug's RICO, the whole world would learn that Kelvin Watts, aka Shell Kel, the brother of Nutt, was Lil Woody's biggest op. Summer Hill, the neighborhood directly south of downtown Atlanta between the Atlanta Zoo and Center Park Stadium, is bordered by the neighborhoods of Grant Park, Mechanicsville, and Peoplestown. Established in 1865, Summer Hill is one of Atlanta's oldest neighborhoods and part of the 26 neighborhoods making up the Atlanta Neighborhood Planning Unit. According to the federal database, an alarming number of gang-related violent crimes have always been a repeat issue in Summer Hill. It was in this Summer Hill neighborhood that a young Kelvin Watts, aka Shell Kel, would come of age. In this Zone 3 southeast area of Atlanta, Shell Kel would find himself hopping off the porch at an early age. Kel, who didn't have a real father-son relationship with his pops, would be raised alongside his brothers by their mom. Dropping out in the 10th grade, Kel would dive heavily into the streets. It wouldn't be long before Kel would earn a reputation as being a wild young dude out the hood. In December of 2015, Atlanta police stated that they made 3 arrests in connection to the murder of a young woman by the name of Tiara Jones. In September of that year, Jamal Ward, Kelvin Watts, and Bobby Hardy were charged in the death of Tiara Jones. Tiara was shot while driving near Hank Aaron Drive in Milton Avenue. Relatives will state that Tiara was driving in southeast Atlanta with 2 friends in a vehicle and had just picked up one individual. Atlanta police said shortly before 1 a.m., a car pulled up next to the woman's SUV, opened fire, and struck the woman in the face. Investigators say she crashed her SUV, causing it to flip over and trapping 2 passengers inside of the vehicle. These 2, a man and a woman, were rushed to Grady Memorial Hospital. However, Tiara's relatives state that she was not the intended target.
Our new developments tonight in the murder of a young mother. She was just driving her car down the road near Turner Field when somebody opened fire and ended her life. Tonight, police think they've caught the people responsible. Fox 5's Morris Diggs joins us now live with the latest on the investigation. And Morris, you found out that the suspect here might be a repeat offender.
Well, it's becoming predictable. One of these 2 men we know was in jail earlier this year on some serious charges. Now, he was served about 7 months and got out on September 22nd. The violent street incident occurred 4 days later on September 26. The family of Tiara Jones said after she was killed, they wanted closure. Today, Atlanta police announced 2 arrests in the incident that took place in traffic on a street close to Turner Field.
When they were attacked in a brazen hail of gunfire from another car that was traveling on the same street.
Jones lost control of her car it flipped over.
It's been very hard, and to just have to let 2 young children know that they will never see their mom again, it was very devastating for the family. We still have unanswered questions as to the reason why.
Ms. Jones, so far, we don't see any reason why she would have been the target of the attack. So our investigation is leading us towards the other 2 individuals that were in the car.
Police say Bobby Hardy and Kelvin Watts were picked up overnight with information supplied from Crime Stoppers tips. In the case of Watts, he had just been released from jail on September 22nd on serious charges, according to records. The violent street incident that took Tiara Jones's life happened 4 days later.
Going through a revolving door so that we can try to put a stop to that and get these guys some time, as opposed to them just going down and getting a slap on the wrist and being back on the street.
Now, the Jones family says there was some kind of confrontation between the passengers in their sister's car and the men allegedly involved in the gunplay. Atlanta police are crediting the Crime Stoppers tips the public for giving information, they say, that led to the arrest of these 2 overnight. Live from Northeast Atlanta, I'm Morris Diggs, Fox 5 News.
Kel would ultimately beat the murder charge. Although Kel had beaten the charge, the feds would pick up the pistol charge, in which Kel ended up doing 5.5 years for. It was the debriefing of Shannon Stillwell, aka SB, that would cause Kel to be charged for the murder. It wouldn't be long after his release that Kel would be arrested again on attempted robbery and other gang-related charges. On December the 6th of 2024, Teddy Nash would take to his YouTube channel to report that Kel had been indeed released from prison. Teddy would also share the terms and conditions of Kel's release.
Shell Kel is coming home. State of Georgia versus Kelvin Watts, criminal action 23 SC 1913-87, November-December term of 2024. Now check this out. He's getting the first offender conditional discharge under OCGA 42-8-60, OCGA 16-13-2. Negotiated. Here we go. This man, bruh, I ain't gonna lie. This is crazy. Unlawful for a person employed by associated with criminal street gang to conduct, participate, as gonna say criminal, whatever the hell. Violation of Street Gang Terrorism and Prevention Act. Violation of Street Gang Terrorism and Prevention Act. Criminal attempt to commit armed robbery. Criminal attempt to commit armed robbery. Aggravated assault. Possession of firearm or knife during commission or attempt to commit certain felonies. Possession of firearm by convicted felon. Bruh. He got nolo pros on damn near everything except for criminal attempt to commit armed robbery.
In a not so shocking turn of events, on December the 26th, DJU would upload an 1 hour and 27-minute long interview with Shell Kel. During that interview, Kel would duck and dodge any questions that he felt may or may not have incriminated him. In that same interview, Kel called out rats from the ATL. Those rats were SB, Woody, and Yak Gotti. Not surprising at all, Kel would have a real hatred and disdain for Woody when questioned about him. Even Ray Charles could see that this interview was definitely going to garner a response from Woody. And just like anyone that frequents social media expected, the Woody would respond. Always the first to report on relevant news throughout the community, Nikki Truth would upload Woody's response to her YouTube channel.
Everybody over here want to push some bullshit. Y'all don't understand. Like, this the reason all this shit started. That's why a lot of mamas are hurting right now. For that stupid ass shit that nigga be on. All that time you said nigga took away from you from your kids. But you want to go on these interviews and poke your chest out, little boy. Hey, go get that time back by being with your kids. Nigga, stop trying to prove a point to the world. Nigga, go prove a point to your kids. Nigga, go be a daddy.